All right, Tim, I'm so happy that we get to chat today. The first question that I wanted to ask you, it's kind of a classic. How did you get into franchising?
Well, Quinn, thanks for asking. Probably no different than a lot of people, and I just will use the phrase dumb luck. I didn't know the first dang thing about franchising and was in my last corporate job, ended in just a spectacular disaster. No fault of my own, but just people did stuff they weren't supposed to do, and the office was kind of closing down. Like it was a bad deal, and I was also kind of in a personal transition of trying to figure out like how to co-parent a little kiddo, and so I was trying to figure out what was next and looking at jobs, and I hated working for people and just ran across this thing called like hey, I could be like a franchise person or something, and kind of stuck my toe in the water, really like kind of out of desperation. But I'm like, I can talk to people and I can, like my brain works like a teacher and a coach. I'm like, I can, I'm sure I can do this. Was scared to death and got started that way. And so really it just was accidental desperation. And here we are, like, 9, 10 years later, and it's been just the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. A decade later, that's pretty incredible. So how would you say that your past experience and what you were doing before FranCoach helps you now working with clients as a franchise coach?
Well, I think I go way back to like on my original career and pathway was I was a teacher, I was a coach, and I was an athlete prior to that all the way through college. And so my brain works that way. Is the education, teach you, coach you, guide you along the way. My brain works like that. That's like people will talk a lot of times about like, oh, I have a passion for, pets or whatever. But when you really start digging in there, like what is their passion? And mine is that being able to kind of help people, teach people, coach people along, right? And then even my corporate world kind of had similar type of things when I was doing just the, that kind of awful corporate grind stuff. So it just kind of naturally flowed into this, and especially with franchising, is people don't know the first dang thing about it, right? And so it's being able to kind of help them with that. So I think that's where, in some ways, just my whole life kind of like serendipitously like launched right into this and was kind of made
Yeah.
for this. And it's just been, again, it's all accidental. But I love a good dumb luck thing, because it's usually when we just get out of our own way, the right pathway will just kind of present itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of just converge and fall into place in the place that you're supposed to be. I totally agree. Speaking of clients, though, Tim, what is your favorite part of working with clients?
We're really fortunate in what we do. Like I talk to smart, successful people all day with just these amazingly diverse backgrounds and experiences. But they all have a couple of things in common. And again, they're smart, they're talented, they've been successful at what they have done, but there's a stuckness to them, right? And so for me, again, with that kind of coach, teach, educate mindset, is I get to work with these people and actually educate them on something that really, again, they just don't know nothing about nothing, but they know they're confused and they're stuck in their professional life, which then rolls into their personal life, right? And
Absolutely.
they want more control. Control is the word we hear from everybody. I need more control, time, freedom, flexibility, my control over my success, the money, the like all of those things. And then I get to kind of help teach them about this and kind of guide them along the way to not franchising isn't for everybody. Franchising is actually for really it's not for most people, but the ones that do is kind of give them that like, whew, oh my gosh, I didn't know, just like I didn't know this was a whole thing, they didn't know this was really possible, and being able to show them that way is it's a fun experience for me to be able to help them with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And doing this for a decade, I'm sure you've worked with tons and tons of clients. What would you say to someone out there who is thinking about owning a franchise? Why should they come and work with FranCoach?
Well, I'm a little biased. You should work with FranCoach, but other than anybody else. But maybe we're not for you, right? I guess if you want to be lied to and smoke blown up your backside, we're probably not the people for you with this. But my thing is, if you're thinking about it, it's been on your mind. I don't know if I want control. I'd love to work for myself. I don't know if it's the thing. Instead of sitting there and finding all the reasons to not get on the phone, like just get on the phone with us. And when we first talk to people, it's the first conversation is like 15, 20 minutes. And I'm like we're like Geico, 15 minutes, and maybe it changes everything down the road. Just have a conversation and learn. What's the worst that's going to happen by talking to our team is you're going to learn something new. That's not going to kill you. Right. Maybe you realize this isn't the path for you now, and that's okay. Maybe you file it away for later. But I mean, maybe, just maybe, you find out it is the pathway, and you're like, "What the heck?" And the amount of times people go, "I don't know why I waited so long to talk to you. I don't know why I waited so long to get into this." It's fear, and fears of the unknown, and we're just here to help, like, take the unknown to the known. And if that eliminates the fear and brings down the barriers and makes this possible, awesome. If not, well, at least you know something new. And again, it's not going to kill us.
Absolutely. A little education never hurt anybody. And then finally, Tim, I wanted to ask you if you have a little nugget of advice, something that you'd like to say to people who are soon to be franchise owners. What advice do you have to give them?
So I think there's a couple things. Number one is when you talk to franchisors, and they're going to say, I don't care what franchise, in what industry, what's the main thing you're looking for in a franchise owner? They're going to all say the same thing: follow the plan. So smart, talented, well-educated, highly successful people kind of almost need to be a little dumb. And don't overthink it. Like, McDonald's has got it all figured out. Don't come in there and go, what if we make the Big Mac with 3 all-beef patties? And just follow the plan and put forth the effort. Those are simple, seemingly simple things, but people can screw that up. The trick is why you use us, is you have to find what's the best fit for you, not your neighbor, not your brother, not your cousin, not whoever. What's the best for you, right? And then the other little intangible thing is, like, we like to use the letters FSO, and we've talked about this on some of our podcasts too. It's like figure stuff out. It's a family show. We use other words typically for the S. But if you do not have the mindset of, or the ability to, or the desire to figure stuff out, this is not for you, right? Is it an incredibly well laid out plan the franchisor has? Is there support coming out of your ears from the franchise? Absolutely. But they're not there holding your hand every single day when something, like, you've got to be that person. If you've been the person working for somebody else and you're like, I know I could do it better, and you're just frankly bitching about it, you're the armchair quarterback. Well, okay, maybe not. If you're sitting there thinking, I don't like what's going on, I would have done it this, and this way, right? If, again, that figure stuff out mentality, because every decision, like as a franchise owner, the buck stops with you there, folks. So you have to really kind of have that kind of intangible piece of, I'm going to be smart enough to follow the plan. I'm going to use my resources as needed, but I know it is on me. I want the ball in my hand for that to make those decisions. So that's the, and not everybody has that or wants that, and that's okay. I think it's one of those like self-realization things that come to play. But follow the plan, put forth the effort, but you got to be ready to have to figure stuff out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great piece of advice, Tim. And I sincerely hope that everybody who watches this follows that piece of advice.
Me too.
Now, we've covered some franchising and FranCoach related questions, but I wanted to give people watching a little peek at behind the scenes, Tim. So I'm going to ask you a couple just for fun questions. First off, I want to hear about your brush with fame. So tell us about the most famous person you have ever met. And of course, we're going to need the story.
Fun things. So many, like weirdly, like a lot of different things that I could say, but probably the most famous person that I had an encounter with was The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. So, and I'm pretty sure he will still tell the story too, because it was so impactful for him. But literally at a Waffle House in Phoenix, Arizona. I think probably I'll say like 99. I literally got introduced in by a friend of mine. I played college basketball. One of my teammates ended up in the WWE. In fact, for 20 some years, he's in the Wrestling Hall of Fame for them. And so they had a show in Phoenix when I was living there, and I went to, like, I didn't even go to the show. I just like wanted to meet my friend afterwards, and they were staying. And this is like, you think of the big fame and all this stuff, especially like The Rock now. But basically all the wrestlers, they were all staying at a Red Roof Inn, which I'm pretty sure The Rock ain't staying at no Red Roof Inn anymore, right? So they're staying at a Red Roof Inn that literally is right in between a strip club and a Waffle House. And so I'm at the Waffle House, and I'm meeting my friend, and he was, if anybody watches wrestling, my friend was Kane. And at the time, he wore a mask. Now, mind you, he was 6'8", 6'9", and 330 pounds, but he wore a mask, so nobody knew who he was. And so, so he'd walked in. There was a kid at the counter talking to his buddy that was working there that was like basically going all like fanboy on The Rock and a couple of the wrestlers that were there. And then my friend walks in, and he's like, I don't know who that is. And then he certainly didn't know who I was. And afterwards, I got to meet, there was other wrestlers there, but I got a chance to meet The Rock. And I don't want to take full credit for The Rock's success, but I'm saying this is later that week was the first time in wrestling he won like his little championship thing, and then blew up in the WWE, and then became an international like superstar actor and all of the stuff. It happened right after he met me. So is that a coincidence?
No way.
I mean, yes, clearly, but in my mind, I'm gonna take credit for it. But it was kind of cool to be able to see him and some of the other guys that you see on TV. Like, again, if you watch wrestling, and so that was kind of my fame story.
That's a great one. Next time I run into Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, I'll have to ask him about that. I'm sure it's stuck in his memory after all these years.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And then Tim, I just have one last question for you, and it is a FranCoach specific question. As you said, you've been doing this for about a decade. The FranCoach team has grown pretty big. We have a bunch of expert franchise consultants now at FranCoach. So which of those expert franchise consultants would you like to trade hair with?
Oh, I don't know that I would take any of their hair, because they're, they're kind of ratty. So I'm going to go with our non-coach staff, and either our director of operations or our director of marketing, because they have like just long hair. And since you're here and Taylor isn't, and she's really blonde, and so like I'm going to go, I would trade hair with you, but I'm not going to do it because chicks dig the bald head is my little joke I say to my kid. And fun little fact about franchising is, not only has it been amazing for me personally, professionally, flexibility with my kid, this is how I met my wife, is in franchising. And she will love to tell the story of, we met once when I was still holding on to the illusion of hair, just briefly at a thing, and then we met a few years later, and I had given up and I had shaved, and suddenly I went from being creepy to kind of cute. So it was the bald head that sold her. That it is 100% that. She will tell you that very, very quickly. My amazing pickup line skills were in full effect. And then really, since I know she will never listen to this, she stalked me until finally I relented and married her. But again, just all of the fun things. So I would pick yours, but I'm not going to pick any, because that probably takes a lot of effort, and there's not much with what I have to worry about. You know what, Tim, I might just have to trade with you, because I would love the low maintenance look. But I will say that I approve of and sanction that answer. Tim, it was awesome to get to chat with you. I'm really excited for people to be able to check this out. Thank you so much. Thank you.